Kyle from Forest in the Sea here, coming at you live from my basement once again. For anybody who's new to any of our social media platforms, I am the lead guitarist and one of the backup vocalists in the group. So before we get started with anything else today, just wanted to take a second to say a huge thank you to all of you who have been continuing to support us on social media and watch our videos. The responses have been staggering, and we are very, very grateful for you. We have plenty more content to release, so I hope you guys don't go anywhere. Next one coming up will be this Sunday at 7 p.m. We will be releasing a full band cover of the song Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin. We're all big Zepp fans, and that song has been in our set for a while. We love to play it, so hope you guys like hearing it. So, as far as what I wanted to get into today for my video, taking a little break from the loop pedal videos, and wanted to do a simpler rig rundown to kind of go behind the scenes of what I like to use to create my music and art. So basically, I'll walk you guys through my guitars, my amplifier, the recording setup that I use for Forest in the Sea, and my pedal board. Hope you like it, find it informative, feel free to comment. Hope you guys like it. So the first guitar I wanted to talk about today is my Epiphone Les Paul Standard Tobacco Sunburst, which I'll give you guys a chance to look at here. A little bit of specs behind the instrument. It is a mahogany guitar, body and neck. It has a rosewood fingerboard, and everything else is pretty much just a stock standard Les Paul setup. However, I have upgraded multiple components of the guitar to increase its performance. I didn't personally oversee this modification, but when I got the guitar, it came loaded with Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates, which are the signature pickups for ZZ Top's Billy Gibbons. These pickups are awesome. They cover pretty much any style of music you throw at them, and they're awesome to record with. They sound great. Pretty much every video that I've done has been on this guitar, and until recently it's the only guitar that I've had. I also upgraded all of the electronic components, which would be the volume and tone knobs, the switch, and the output jack with USA-made Gibson quality /spec components, which also just increases the overall solid feeling and nature of the guitar. Installed strap locks because I'm paranoid that my guitar is going to fall off the strap and either hurt me or hurt itself, which is something I'm sure all of you can relate to. As far as anything else, I installed a Graphtec nut, which helps with tuning and keeps everything smooth, and installed 18:1 ratio Grover tuners, which is also great for tuning, and they are very precise. But yeah, I have no complaints about this guitar. It took me a long time to find it, but I'm really happy that I did, and I don't plan on getting rid of it anytime soon. I call it my Southern Rock Excalibur because it's kind of inspired by both Billy Gibbons and Duane Allman. There's a little story about Billy gave Duane a guitar very much like this one, is a Tobacco Sunburst and everything, that he had played and gave it to him to play. So every time I pick it up, it's like Billy's here with the pickups and then Duane's here with the rest of the guitar, and can't help not be inspired by that. So yeah, what I wanted to talk about is my vintage V6 Icon. I literally just got this guitar in the mail yesterday, and I've been playing it non-stop, so it is a very recent addition to my arsenal. But here's that guy for you guys to see. As far as specs go, poplar body, for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much the same as Alder. Maple neck, rosewood board, traditional Strat style electronics, 3 single coil pickups, volume, tone, 5-way pickup selector switch, tremolo, and then Graphtec nut, and Vintage's own version of locking tuners, both of which help to maintain tuning and to return the guitar to the proper pitch whenever you're using the whammy bar a lot. As I said, this guitar is a very, very recent acquisition for me. I've always loved Strats and Strat players, but I, for a long time, could not get a sound that I liked out of a Stratocaster. But I've just been listening to a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and Pink Floyd and Jimi Hendrix and Philip Sayce and just on, and I could talk for hours. But basically what it comes down to is a lot of my favorite players are Strat players, and I needed a second guitar for a backup, so I figured I may as well get a Strat. This one, I love it. It is great. As you've noticed, this guitar has relic features, which for some people they either love it or hate it. I happen to love it. I love when Strats look like they're beat up. It's not really. I don't really have that feeling for any other guitar. I just love when Strats are beat up. But yeah, it's a quality instrument. There are a few modifications that I plan on making to it, but other than that, most of it's gonna stay stock. The main one being I'm gonna replace the wiring so that it will function as a volume or master tone, and then down here you'll be able to blend in the neck or bridge pickup depending on where the pickup selector is. It's a trick that was used by David Gilmour from Pink Floyd to turn his neck pickup on in all the positions. So it's like an extra 2 sounds you can get out of your Strat. Other than that, I'm going to keep this guitar the way it is. Look forward to incorporating this into more videos, and I'm a 2-guitar man now. It's pretty exciting. So I wanted to talk about my amplifier. I am currently running a Boss Katana Artist 100 Mark I for all my live and recording needs. It is a great workhorse amp. It covers pretty much all the bases of what I like and dislike about different types of amplifiers in one package. I came to decide upon using this amp similarly to how I decided to use my Les Paul. Basically went through a bunch of different types of amps and figured out what I liked and disliked about them. I like digital modeling for the flexibility and for the ease of use and for being less likely to break my back, but the tone wasn't always there, and there's only so much you can do to dial out the digital nature of a digital amp, unfortunately. On the flip side of that, I liked tube tone, but a lot of times I was wanting for more flexibility in the tone. That tone wasn't always consistent either, with the nature of tubes being very finicky, as well as having to crank them to get them to sound good, and the fact that, well, at least the amps that I played all were super freaking heavy. So with all of that, I was finally able to get my hands on a Katana Artist and found that it pretty much ticked all my boxes. It has the brains, I would say, of a digital modeling amp, but as far as the channels that you can select from and the bass sounds, they are all analog solid state. So not quite tube, but I would say that it's similar to tube technology without the tubes, I guess. They're built for a very specific purpose, and that is to maintain the integrity of the one sound that they are trying to create, as opposed to trying to create a bunch of different sounds. So that keeps things pretty consistent, and you also have a lot of options for how to tweak those sounds. So for me, it's just really exciting because it's like a Pandora's box of possibilities for tone. It feels, like I said, it fills all my needs for recording, has a line out on it, which is super useful. I can record quietly any time of day. You can mess with the cabinet response to make it sound different. Mess with the wattage, so you can, I think it goes from standby, which you can play through headphones, to all the way up to 100 watts full power. Yeah, I don't see myself replacing this amplifier anytime soon. If anything, I would like to get another tube amp, preferably something by Fender, because their amps just sound so nice, and especially now that I have a Strat, I am really getting into that type of style of sound and guitar playing, so that's probably the next thing. But as of right now, I got my Boss and I'm happy. Next, we're going to talk about my pedals and effects. First, we'll talk about my front of amp stuff that I use, and then we'll get into what I use in my effects loop. So, starting at the front of my signal chain, my guitar goes into the MXR Dynacomp Mini. Great little compressor pedal, great for bringing clarity and punch to your playing without adding extra distortion or grit of any kind. Plays nice with all my other pedals. Like I said, just good for adding a little bit extra bit of clarity or like kicking your amp's pants, so to speak. Next, that goes to the TC Sub-Up Mini octave pedal. I use that for 2 main purposes. Number 1 being to emulate the sound of a bass guitar for when I'm doing looping music, and number 2 to emulate the sound of a dirty Hammond B3 organ, kind of like a John Lord Deep Purple kind of vibe. There's other things you can do with it too, but that's mainly what I use it for. Okay, so that goes into the TC Viscous Vibe. I'm a big fan of Univibe. I tended to favor Phaser for a long time, but I came to hear Univibe and liked how the modulation was more prevalent and you could really feel it sweep through your signal. and it's also just been an effect that's a mainstay for a lot of my favorite players, and yeah, just wanted to incorporate it into my sound. So from there, that goes into the TC Sentry Noise Gate, which I am really happy with because it is the first noise gate that I found that does a good job of determining what your guitar sound is and the noise that it needs to eliminate. I used a Boss NS2 for a long time before I got this, and I was constantly fighting with it to try to establish a better balance. But luckily with this guy, I finally have the balance that I've been seeking, so that's nothing but good stuff. So, with the TC Sentry, it has an independent loop that is intended for putting your dirt pedals in so that they don't interfere with the rest of your sound. So, the next pedals I talk about will be in the loop for the TC Sentry. First of which being the MXR Sugar Drive, which is MXR's version of a Klon Centaur style pedal. I use it mainly as a clean boost. It adds a lot of extra dimension and a hint of grit to your sound while also allowing it to stay clean and have a lot of dynamics. I like using it standalone on clean songs, occasionally using it with the comp for that same setting, and just using it to stack with my other drive pedals. It's a great all-around pedal, and it's great. Then from the MXR Sugar Drive, we go into the Mini Ibanez Tube Screamer. This is my main dirt pedal. I will almost always use it in conjunction with the MXR Sugar Drive for leads. It's just a great way to take a great sound or take a good sound and make it even better. It's an industry standard. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's used it. It's a staple. And from the Mini Tube Screamer, that gets fed into the MXR Classic 108 Mini Fuzz. I'm a big fan of fuzz, although I've found that it is very hard for me to find fuzzes that I like the sound of and can actually play with. I had been using the Big Muff Pi, which is pictured at the bottom here, for a while, but just found it a little too gnarly for the sounds that I was going for, so I figured I'd try something a little different. I had the 108 Fuzz a while ago, but had traded it, but had always liked how it sounded, so got another one of those guys, and it's perfect for my purposes. Blends with my other dirt pedals and my compressor really well, and takes my organ sound and makes it even dirtier and nastier, which is always a good thing. And that returns to the end of the loop in the Sentry Noise Gate, and then that goes into the front of my amp. Okay, so now for my effects loop, it starts with the TC Pipeline Tremolo. I'm a big fan of tremolo. It's a very vibey and old school effect, and I don't know, I've just always really liked it. Took a while to find a good pedal for it because there's a lot of tremolo pedals that don't have tap tempos, which bugs the crap out of me because I want to be in time with what I'm doing. But this pedal was great. I've been playing a lot with it recently, and I'm looking forward to finding ways to incorporate it into our sound. Okay, then from the pipeline, we go into the TC Triple Delay. I like this one more than the Flashback, just because you can run all three delays into each other and just make a giant wash, basically, which is something that I've become increasingly interested in with studying the music of Devin Townsend and the fact of how he makes his sound and plays a lot of ambient guitar where he's running multiple delays to make this big sound. And it's a great delay pedal. I use it kind of like how David Gilmour would use an Echo Rec, I guess, where the more delay you add to it, the bigger the sound gets, and it's great for making soundscapes. And again, kind of like the pipeline, I'm looking forward to finding new ways to incorporate it into our sound. Okay, from the TC Triple Delay, we go into the Hall of Fame 2. Great reverb pedal. I would have kept the Hall of Fame 1 because it was that good and I liked it that much, but I wanted to have more options for tone prints, and this one met that need, and it's a great reverb pedal. All the sounds are super usable, and I love it. Okay, from the Hall of Fame, we go into the TC Ditto Looper. This was the first pedal that I ever owned, and I've kept it since then, and I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of it. I use it all the time for practicing, for content. It's a great little tool to have, and I recommend that you get one too. And then, as a little bonus, now that we've finished what I have in my effects loop, the pedals at the bottom of the page, from right to left, there is a Danelectro Hash Browns flanger. I acquired this in a trade. Um, I just wanted to have something different from the tremolo and the vibe, just to kind of cover all the modulation bases, I guess. And I'm a fan of flanger, but not necessarily with the music that I've been creating. So that one's there in case something comes up and I want a different sound. Then there's the Electro-Harmonix Big Muff Pi with Tone Wicker. That was my old fuzz pedal that I used. I wanted to keep it around just because it definitely produces a good sound. It's just a little bit too extreme for what I was trying to do, but if I ever feel like writing some extra nasty riffs, it's always there to have, and I'm happy for that. It gives me comfort. And lastly, there is a just a standard Crybaby Wah by Dunlop. I don't necessarily like the sound of this one right now, which is why it's not hooked up to my board, but if it's kind of like the other pedals that I have, it's there if I need it, and I'll probably upgrade it at some point or another in the future. But yeah, that's all my effects. Now we'll talk about my recording setup. This is definitely a lot simpler than all of my other stuff, so I'll keep this brief. Basically what it comes down to is I use a 3rd generation Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. I use the line out from my Boss Katana to run into that, and then that is fed into my computer, which is running GarageBand, and that's how I get my guitar recorded. I am experimenting with using the mic to get live sounds, so as we continue to make videos, hopefully that will become a new thing, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Everybody, that was my rig rundown. Thanks for tuning in. Keep your eyes peeled this 7 p.m. for our new video coming out, Over the Hills and Far Away, full band cover. Should be exciting. If you're not following us on any of our social media, or you're looking for more ways to follow us, Linktree for all of our platforms will be in the description below. Yeah, I've been Kyle. Hope you guys like this video. See you soon.